Welcome to Interviews with the Other Side. So we're going to get started. Okay. All right. Now, when you hear that sound, that's literally their communications. So I'll just say translate, and then they will end up translating into English for me. Okay, we're going to translate. Okay. So you're here for the interview?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so it's a group of you
Yeah.
for the interview. Now, do any of you have the deal?
No.
Okay, you guys don't have the deal, which is pretty interesting. So you would be considered, would you consider yourself a haunter, or do you even have a title on the other side?
I kind of do. We do many things. So, and it can change.
Okay.
But we have done hunting.
Hmm. Now, when you were haunting, did you ever feel that any the things that you were doing were wrong at all?
No, it's like a job here.
Hmm.
No, not a, I mean, some people don't like their job,
Hmm.
and similar to us, some of us don't like our job, but it's
Hmm.
something that we feel we need to do. Otherwise, we turn into black ooze or we're in a dungeon. So either
Hmm.
do your job or get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it's not much difference from what goes on in the Matrix. For instance, someone who works at a slaughterhouse where they're, you know, transitioning animals for food every day. So you don't necessarily transition humans often, do you?
Depends on the job,
Hmm.
but most jobs no.
Yeah, most of the time, from what I understand, has to do with just literally um, getting essence from those individuals in various ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you tell me some of the techniques that you guys use to get essence out of people? Okay, this is another individual who wants to talk. Going to translate.
Yes.
So, you feel that you can answer that question better?
I think I can.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's many different tricks. It depends on the job.
Hmm.
So if you're more of a manager role, you just have to make sure your worker on the other side or the workers are doing their jobs, and then you're
Hmm.
good to go. So really, and then the workers, I mean, some of them can just do the scary in different places.
Hmm.
Some of them will set up traps.
Hmm.
And so it's not really obvious that
Hmm.
someone doesn't really know why they're not feeling as peppy.
Oh, as far as like the amount of energy that gets drained from them.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that you all have various abilities. In other words, some just lay traps better than others.
Yes.
So they end up basically doing that as part of their work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as far as like, in other words, how they literally, which I did ask that, what techniques, that various techniques of getting essence from individuals. Now, in my forums, I've mentioned the movie Monsters Inc. as something that is similar to how you guys work. Would you say that that has a bit of truth to that?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're haunting individuals, you do have a dossier
Yes.
as to how they react or respond to certain types of hauntings, so that you can assign or actually, I guess it does. Are you assigned literally?
Yes. We
Okay.
are assigned, there's not much choice, but really, is there any choice in the Matrix either?
Yeah, not much, right? That's true. Yeah, the whole concept that free will. Would you say that exists in the Matrix?
No.
So, okay, which definitely makes sense. But there are those who want to believe that they have free will. When would you say there's like there's a saying, we choose a box for you. Like they choose a box for the human,
Hmm.
which is like whatever they're going to do, even as a career or something like that, or what their propensity. In other words, some are better at math than others. Some are better at so-called medicine or whatever, and some are better at being a creative or something like that, or engineer.
Yeah, it's similar. We have to go through a test to see how we can get the most essence. So
Hmm.
whatever field, whichever area we're going
Hmm.
to be good in, then we're assigned, but we're not given a choice.
Yeah. So actually, when you say that, I do think of Monsters Inc. and the one scene where the big furry guy. And he was he's kind of like a star of the company because he was a real, intense haunter. He can get a lot of out of essence out of his subjects. And so there's literally, again, that pretty much how much of that movie would you say mirrors what you do? It's like, 100%, 80%, 50%, or
Yeah, I would say pretty high up, 70 to 80%.
70, 80%.
Yeah,
Yeah. And when those types of movies are produced, which basically are something that you guys on the other side are behind, well, I would say all movies and entertainment and so on and so forth are basically managed by you guys on the other side, right?
everything,
Everything.
fashion,
Yeah.
music, movies, you name it.
Hmm.
We run it.
So in essence, you feel that you own the people in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people don't really realize that they're literally owned by you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when there's a haunting going on, because you've haunted, you said,
Yes, I
yeah,
have done that.
and someone comes in with some religious processes to try to get rid of you,
Right.
does any of that stuff really work?
Of course not. I
Yeah.
mean, I different entities have created all those symbols.
Hmm.
And yeah, we're not scared of any of it. That's just funny to us.
Yeah. So even the whole concept with individuals who believe in the paranormal, opposed to those who, claim they don't believe in it, all of those fights are orchestrated by you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, you create the whole concept of what paranormal is for for humans. Is that correct?
Yes,
Oh,
that's
okay.
correct.
Yeah. So in other words, whatever remedy that they have been given from something established or an established group or established even what you would call maybe you call certain religions minor religions, the ones that are not in the top three or four, whatever, Christianity, the Muslim, Buddhism, and Judaism.
Right.
That's the ones that aren't really known that much, the Baha'i and so on and so forth. Those guys, those would be considered what minor religions to you guys?
Yeah, because I mean, if the major religions can affect many places,
Hmm.
like, for example, Christmas, so many people are kind of into it.
Yeah, even if they're not a Christian, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then that's easier for us to manipulate in different ways
Hmm.
using those religions.
So I guess, do you test a religion? A long time ago, of course, some of these have been introduced. Do you test a religion to see how popular it is or how effective it is, and then you support it's supported by the system, or is this something that has happened before? Um, density ever came to Dunia, Earth, Gaia.
Yeah, it has happened on other planets.
Yeah. And so you've been around a while, though. And then you've been on the other planets doing this stuff.
Yes.
And once you finished with decimating, would that be correct? You were, like, extracting all the essence from those consciousness planets, and then basically leaving them kind of like a black ooze ball or something floating around in the ether.
It's correct, but we didn't like looking at it that way necessarily. We were just doing our job.
Hmm. Hmm. But once you did the job, you would move to another
Yes,
planet or host,
correct.
kind of like the virus.
I mean, I don't like to consider myself a virus, but yeah,
Yeah. We would prefer to consider humans to be a virus.
yeah,
So, in other words, so you're a different class of virus then, I would just
yeah,
say. Well, they don't like that. All right.
yeah.
Okay. Is this translate? Are you protesting, or you want to add something to the discussion?
I'm just a little uncomfortable.
You're uncomfortable with the reality of what you were doing.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's well, I guess pretty much like people who are in denial.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I like to point fingers at humans, mealworms, but yeah, I'm just as bad.
yeah. But humans take after you, don't they? They
Yeah,
point fingers at each other when they're awful, then they point fingers at someone and say that they're awful. Yeah, a bunch of damaged individuals pointing fingers at one another.
yeah.
Well, it seemed like having to mull that one over, but or accept the reality of that.
It's gonna take a moment.
Okay. So anyway, we established that that Dunya Gaia Earth is not the first or only planet, so to speak, that you have done this on.
No,
Yeah.
the other planets were beautiful in the beginning, and in the end, they're black holes.
mm mm. Now, how many of you are aware of what would be considered the real supreme consciousness universe?
Not many,
Hmm.
but if kind of a higher up job, they probably know more.
Hmm. Okay.
But lower workers, they don't know anything
Hmm.
for the most
Well,
part.
again, I believe that the construct of the matrix is basically patterned in a sense after how things operate on your side.
Right.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
those on the lower rungs don't know what's going on the top rungs. They're
No,
just basically the workers and the drones, and they just do what they're told, or they just are basically told to believe what the hierarchy tells them, and no questions.
correct.
Yeah. But I did house clearing and had a certain individual come through who said that he was put into sort of a prison and punishment. Even I would imagine, I'm not exactly sure if he said he was tortured by other density on the other side because he still had memories of the supreme consciousness universe, and he wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, you can't talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically, yeah, in other words, a no-no, so to speak. It reminds me of some of the stories when certain individuals would see extraterrestrial craft. This is like years ago, and they would report it to the
Ew.
so-called authorities. Okay, are you going to add something? Whoever's translate, you're going to add something to this, or are you feeling uncomfortable?
I've been a pilot before.
You've been a pilot of an extraterrestrial vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, well, you can answer this question now. As far as like when people, humans would see you or see your craft, was that intentional, or you just kind of slipped up, or or something happened that where they saw you when you weren't intending for them to see you?
I mean, sometimes it was intentional because we were gonna take them anyway and
Hmm.
then erase their memory. So if they still remembered, sometimes that was a mess up. Sometimes that was just to create chaos
Hmm.
because people aren't going to believe, many people, the mealworms aren't going to believe them. Oh, I saw a craft and then my memory
Hmm.
was gone. And they like to, I mean, well, the mealworms are part of us, so they work for us too, even if, so we want them to turn on other people.
Hmm. So the whole business is to create chaos in order to pump out essence,
Exactly.
release essence from those individuals who are fighting. So, in retrospect, they're literally So the higher consciousness does exist,
Yes.
or else you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now.
Right.
But you use a certain amount of it, and enough for you to override it, almost as though it doesn't quite. Well, in other words, where it has a harder time protesting against anything that's being done or being forced to do,
Yes.
or influenced to do, or forced to do. More like forced.
Forced, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sometimes can influence, but most of the time it's kind of like forcing because they're
Mm-hmm.
not in charge.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Uh, yeah, give me a bit of a second so I can recollect where I want to go with this from. Oh, okay. Well, I think we're going to stick with the subject of you being a pilot of what they call UFOs, and then now they call them UAPs or whatever. But the craft that are in the sky now, are those density crafts?
No.
Yeah. Okay. And these are the individuals who are responsible for all the changes that are going on right now on the planet?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how it works, but things have changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't been in a craft in a long time.
Well, from what I understand, that a lot of crafts were literally knocked out of, um, I guess, knocked out of the air, knocked out of use, I should say.
Yeah.
Now, what did you find when you were in the craft and you ran into a light beam craft? In other words, as far as like your technology opposed to the light beam technology, um, the difference between night and day, or
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, so much more advanced.
Mhm.
I don't know. Again, like I know how the craft that I flew worked, but I have no clue how they created those crafts.
Mhm.
The technology is so advanced.
Okay. Well, there was an individual who was part of the temple, the movement, had taken some photographs that were asked, I believe, by light beings to go out with their camera and point it to a certain into the sky and take pictures. And she had like a series of pictures, I don't know, maybe even 300 or something like that. And when I would do some clearing work, which, if I'm doing clearing work, I'm dealing with whatever density that's in those individuals. And when I would show some of those images to certain individuals, they would react in a very, extreme way at times. There was one person who looked at the images. I sent them the I
Mm.
think a few images, and they literally started to throw up and
Mm.
and just uncontrollably, just which was kind of a funny story because she was drinking beet juice, and I don't know who really drinks that stuff. But anyway, she's drinking beet juice, and I sent this to her, and she literally spewed beet juice all over her apartment, just about, almost like somebody got slaughtered in there.
Mm.
Okay, you want to talk? Translate. Go ahead.
Anything from the real will affect programming, jockeys, density in someone.
Hmm. Now, I think some of them were reacting because, like yourself, they remember. In other words, they remember other planets that you guys had affected or literally destroyed, I should say, and and that some of them remember when there was a battle between themselves and light beings when Dunya, Earth, Gaia was taken over. Were you around during that time, or did you come
Yeah,
in later?
yeah, I was around during that time.
Yeah. So there's the ones who remember that particular time. You would say that they're on the higher rungs of the pyramid.
Usually,
In other words, they have more information, and as you go down the pyramid, less information to the
yes.
bottom where they don't know what's going on. They don't even know, there was a battle between density and light beings. Because usually when you guys would invade, You had to basically encroach onto into the real to expand the territory into the real. Now, when you were able to take over, did that have to do with the those light beings not ever experiencing the likes of you guys? The type of aggressiveness or the deceptiveness and all that. Yeah, I know it's kind of hard for you to hear, but that's the reality of the deal. You don't get anything by telling them the truth.
Yeah. It is hard to hear. Even for me right now, it's hard to focus for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad.
Well, you came here for the deal, which means that your mind is moving in a different direction than where it was before, or were you
Yeah.
always kind of like wanting to get out of the matrix?
I mean, I think somewhat. I've been, yeah, for a long time, but I didn't see any way out.
Hmm. Now, what I understand that he fragmented those who he pulled and tricked into the matrix. So you would say that you were tricked. Do you remember whether you were tricked into the matrix?
I think I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for him to control, he instilled fear and fragmentation.
Yep,
So you're aware that you've been fragmented.
I am now.
You're now. Okay, then the next question I was going to ask is do you know where your other fragments are? But you probably wouldn't if you didn't realize until now that you were fragmented.
Uh, yeah, because my memory isn't, I can't remember everything either, so that makes sense that I'm a fragment.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I don't know where my other fragments are. They could be on other planets. They could be here on Dunya. I have no clue.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Very much so. Now, it's I guess again, if I've asked enough of the questions having to do with the UFO extraterrestrial thing. Um, Now, do you know? Well, since you guys have influence and have had, I should say, you have less influence over what's going on now than you did before. Is that would you say that's correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so when you had influence over everything, you had influence over the wars and so on and so forth, the military and in the matrix and so on.
of course.
Now, there is a someone who empath, and the empath. This was several years ago, maybe 4 years ago. Um, Empath, a pilot of the military, of the Earth military, um, literally flying through some clouds, and then there was a humongous ship that wasn't one of yours in the sky, and to the point where it was too hard, when he came out, it was too close for him to actually avoid, and he hit the force field,
Oh,
and literally that was it. That was all she wrote. So, are you aware of that there were a lot of fighter jets and things like that that were basically knocked out of the sky by the lightnings?
I am aware of some of them.
Yeah,
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 I've heard stories, but obviously I wasn't in them.
yeah. I guess or you wouldn't be here right now talking to me, looking for the deal. Okay. So as far as like the having to do with the UFO situation, I think I'm going to leave it there for the time being. And for some reason that so now did you choose actually going back to did you choose what kind of so-called alien being you were going to be
Well,
or the glamour or whatever?
yeah, if you're higher up, you can be most glamorous. You can change it on a
Hmm.
dime.
Hmm.
If you're lower, you might be assigned glamour, like this is
Hmm.
what you look like.
Now, could you switch from, say, what they call like a Palladian or a reptilian or something? Have you had any of those type of experiences, or your experience is something different? Has been something different?
Well, I have one that I prefer, but I can change to whatever, Pleiadian, reptilian. I can change shapeshift easily.
Hmm.
But most can't do that. Most are they will stay one or the other.
Hmm. Now, at that point, those on the lower rungs who are stuck or stay in those particular expressions, are those expressions are chosen for them by the hierarchy?
Yeah.
Okay. And as a hierarchy member, you can just decide whether you want to, what you want to be, I guess, or what your expression is that you want to experience.
Yeah.
Now, you said you had one that you like. Could you share that with us?
I mean, it's kind of just an energy. I don't really, I just kind of chill in an energy. So I look like maybe like a black fog.
Oh, okay. So a non-humanoid shape.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that there's quite a bit of that going on as far as like when certain individuals see certain hauntings, they'll see mist, and those would be considered an entity consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah. So and which I think something else I had covered in the forum having to do with eyesight or vision. You don't use. What would you say the human body is like a machine, or
Yeah.
yeah, or kind of like an android puppet or something like that?
Yeah, you can tune it up, change it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so
Okay.
whatever we want to kind of do can make it malfunction, can make it work a little better if we
Hmm.
want to. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, like a robot.
Hmm. Now, are you over different groups? Because I know that there are groups out there who are I would say tenants or attachments, and jockeys in human avatars, and they don't necessarily get along with each other. So do you oversee those different groups?
I oversee some, yes.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't work with mealworms, I work with their jockeys
Mhm. Mhm.
on what I want them to do.
Mhm. Now, when they have, I guess, a issue with one another, are those something that they do on your side that they do this, where it's very similar to how they do it here in the Matrix, where they'll contrive
Mm.
something that will, so that one group is angry with another because they did this or they did that or so on and so forth. I would say personally, from my experience with that, those are basically orchestrated, those type of conflicts.
Yes,
And the bottom line is about essence, right?
correct.
Yeah. So anything to get the food.
Anything,
Yeah.
anything goes.
Yeah. So now, um, just as my empath, I remember seeing a past expression
Mm.
that had to do with the Napoleonic Wars.
Mm.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. And the image I saw was just a field of soldiers dead and dying. Like a wide, field of just soldiers who are just, waiting or well, dying, you know, and in that scene, I saw these, I think maybe three or four beings that had faces almost remind me of almost like a bird or a raptor or something like that, and they
Mhm.
were wearing robes. These guys exist?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And they were talking to this short guy that looked like the paintings of Napoleon. And they had like something almost you could say looked like an iPad or something, but a little more evolved than that,
Mm.
where they were tallying the essence that they were getting from the war. Is that something that happens?
Yeah, the tablet, you can just kind of scan it and it'll calculate it for you.
Yeah, because also in that scene, I saw a large ship above the battlefield.
Mhm.
And while they're tallying, it seemed like all these sparks were going into the bottom of the ship.
Mm.
So those sparks, or would you say those sparks would be energy essence?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it goes into processing.
Hmm.
So, you know, yeah.
Now, with any of that, because once the avatar is no longer functional, the consciousness goes somewhere. Now, do they also go in the ship, or they go somewhere else?
They go somewhere else to be taken care of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and literally introduced back into another scene where they will continue to give off essence.
Yes.
Now, the reality of the matter that how it works is that really the job is a job, like you said, and you can't really care so much as to what's happening to those individuals.
No, because I mean, there's still a lot of them still are alive. I mean, just so, I mean, they have a consciousness,
Mhm.
but
But at some point, though, they get tapped out. They become what I call black ooze, or been said to me, where they no longer function, but they're still conscious, but they can't move. They can't do anything.
that's right.
Yeah.
But we just like to ignore that because
So okay.
if we don't do our job, then we're headed towards that.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Sounds again like the Matrix. Yeah. Very much like the Matrix. So yes. Have you ever been to the those fields? Any of those fields?
I have seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not it's not a pretty sight.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can feel it feels different even there.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like, but you can't feed off of it, but it feels
Hmm.
like despair.
Hmm. Hmm.
I guess what people, I mean, everything here is hell, but there is a certain feeling in those fields with all the black ooze.
Okay. So it's kind of like who needs hell if you have the Matrix? Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Okay. Um, that's interesting. All right, we have someone who's translate. Okay, you here to share something, or you?
I'm still here.
Okay, well, was that you making the speaking in your other language?
Yes, I was just to let you know I'm here.
Okay, that you're still here.
Yes.
Now, is there a title that you like, or speaker one, speaker two, or anything in particular that you like to be called?
Yeah, I don't really have a name, so speaker one's fine.
Okay, well, we consider you to be speaker one. So one of the members had a question having to do with, why eat essence. So you can ask that question.
Oh, the question was about why, like those nasty essence, really mess up things. Why do you find it delicious? Why density find that kind of essence? Why do they prefer that kind of essence?
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So can you answer that question?
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, if there is anything like dense or black ooze in it, we'll filter that out. So,
Hmm.
and we need essence to survive.
Right.
So, I mean, to us, it's delicious
Hmm.
because otherwise we'll feel down or not feel so good.
Well, wouldn't it be somewhat similar to how some of the what you call mealworms, humans, that they eat certain things that other people think are gross,
Right.
but
Right.
those people think is really delicious.
Yeah. And I mean, like if someone is on the verge of turning into black ooze, that essence I don't prefer. 'Cause
Hmm.
it is a little not that good. I mean, some entities will still consume it, and I would too if it was available and I had nothing else, but
Hmm.
not as tasty.
Now, do different emotions create a different flavor of essence?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as like what kind of trauma or terror or whatever that you're reaping on a mealworm human and their avatar. Like fear has a certain flavor.
Yes, I prefer fear.
Hmm.
Prefer that flavor, embarrassment.
Hmm.
Those are some that I like.
Like insecurity and so on and
Yeah.
so. Now, there are various flavors of fear, though.
Yeah, I mean, there are different flavors of fear because, and also intensity as well.
Hmm.
If it's really, they consider it traumatic, then it's going to be quite strong.
So it's like the difference between, fear has a flavor, but then terror is another level,
Yeah.
in other words, another level up
Yes.
and has its own flavor.
Hmm.
What would you consider a premium essence? Like there are people who eat certain foods and they think that these foods are very sophisticated and only the higher echelon can afford these types of food. Is that similar on the other side?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, terror, I would say, is probably number one because of the intensity of it and the flavor.
Hmm.
Not everyone's gonna have access to that.
Okay, so as far as like there's a hierarchy there, very much like there is one here in the Matrix. Now there are flavors of energy that only the hierarchy are allowed to eat, opposed to those on the lower rungs.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like the lower rungs get what you can scrap energy or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, again, like more contaminated stuff.
Hmm.
It still has some essence, but
Hmm.
that would go more towards workers.
Hmm. Okay, that makes okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. What is the biggest lie that you would tell a consciousness? I'm not sure exactly how that would work. Whether you need to tell them lies or is this something that haunters will do?
I mean,
Well, I guess you
yeah.
lie. Isn't it like a constant lie?
I mean, yeah, everything's a lie. It's kind of like convincing them that the Matrix is all there is,
Hmm.
and and then just constantly having chaos in their life.
Okay. So those who would consider that the matrix is all there is, you would say that they're more controlled by the density than the individuals who will say that that they believe that this isn't all there is.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, would that mean that they would have less of their higher consciousness there, so that that kind of illogic would take precedence over someone thinking? I just feel like a lot more logical thought would be that I don't know everything. I don't know everything that there is. Therefore, if there's something else out there, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't believe that there's nothing, that there's nothing else out there. Or those individuals who say that they don't believe that there are ghosts, do they really? Is it true that they don't believe that there, such things as ghosts? I mean, you guys program them, so is that a program that is purposely put in those individuals
Yeah.
to cause, issues?
Yeah, because it definitely causes inner conflict because whether or not the mealworms want to say it, most mealworms have had some kind of experience
Hmm.
where they couldn't quite understand what was going on, that there was a ghost or an
Hmm.
entity, and so they know that, but then they're also told, no, this isn't real. So they get confused.
Okay, so like strict belief systems, what does that do to the higher consciousness?
Well, it definitely, well, a lot of them are kind of either in a fog or a coma, or they're just not quite aware.
Okay, now with in other words, whatever fragment of the higher consciousness that is in uh, an avatar, isn't it true that they try to be balanced?
Yes, they do try, but a lot of them aren't in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to change things when the jockey is doing, making the decisions.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're aware that there's a jockey, and then also aware that there are what I call the tenants or squatters. Now, depending on the individual and their expression, depends on how many, I should say, squatters or tenants are in them as well.
Yeah, there's different factors. It can be like how many expressions they've had. It could depend on how much essence they have left.
Hmm.
There's some different factors of how many squatters or tenants they have.
Okay, so after each, I say, expression or what we would call here lifetimes, with each lifetime, that higher consciousness ends up with less energy. It's in other words, it starts to dwindle, and with each expression, to the point after a certain point in time, they become black ooze in the black ooze field. Would you say?
Yes, because each lifetime they have more squatters.
Hmm. And so you would say that the that fragment of the higher consciousness is literally mobbed out by its squatters and and its jockey.
Yes.
So they could want to do something that's logical, but they're overridden by either the jockey and supported by the tenants or the squatters.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
And which again, I would say, would you say that stresses the higher consciousness?
Yeah, it's more essence.
So stress is to the point where it releases the higher consciousness releases more of its essence
Yes.
that are consumed. Now, by doing it that way, is it it's kind of like processing the energy from the higher consciousness so that it's more palatable for density in the hierarchy?
Yeah, everything has to be processed. Yeah, each essence could have a little bit different. If it's more from the higher consciousness and really strong, then it's going to have a little bit of a different process than from a fragment that might have less.
Hmm. Hmm.
And also similar for like older consciousnesses or younger consciousnesses, sometimes it can be a little different process.
So what's going on right now as far as like the levels of frequency are frequencies that you guys have never experienced before in the matrix?
Correct.
Yeah, the frequencies, in other words, that light beings are putting into effect here, the increasing levels of frequency. So because of that, and the difficulty for those of you who are in the dense realm, that's one of the reasons you're looking to get the deal so that you can literally work for me, literally, and light beings, and also be protected from the higher frequencies.
Yes, because I mean that I guess realizing I'm a fragment. I
Hmm.
don't remember frequencies like this.
Hmm.
So I am feeling much more in the that it's has been rising, it's much harder for density to
Hmm.
survive. And
Hmm.
I don't know how much longer it'll be
Okay.
for them to be able to survive.
Okay. So you guys have come for the deal,
Yes.
and I appreciate your candidness and your cooperation, and I will contain you all,
Thank
contain
you.
you all, and I'll send you to the room for the deal. And if you choose to participate again in future interviews, you'll be welcome, and I will know you as speaker one.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, and you're welcome. Okay, everyone, that is a wrap for episode one of interviews with the other side. I hope that you find it interesting. Thank you.